one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki. Good morning, everyone. Daryl the Derelict, good morning, Project Story Time. What a hell of a stream you had last night, brother. I feel for you. They kept taking your stream down. Welcome to YouTube, my friend, and I hope you had a happy birthday. Good morning, Gary Banja Sandwich Worthington. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Rise and Shine with Purple Valkyrie. Pat Steven Seagal. Good morning, Dean Krantz. Good morning. Good morning to DJ Ronnie G, Mr. Dragon. Good morning, Keely Chow, Roll Tide, Keely Roll Tide, Chris Persia, the Wrench of Wrenches, and the Bash Brother of the North of the Cold and Snow. Been keeping up with your Twitter, brother. Wow, lots of snow there in Canada. It's about time. About. Saj Melody, good morning. Good morning. Mark Dampingly Tired, our Bash Brother of the South. Thank you for being here, brother. Shum, good morning, Shum. I don't know where Mexican Iron Man is. Ever since the Betty White thing, he's just disappeared. Shockwave, good morning, Shockwave. Gun Bunny, where Gun Bunny and Shockwave are, you know who's not soon to follow. Psychodorf 9! Good morning, brother, if you're out there listening. Hail, and I hope you are doing well, sir. Oh, man. Where is... Oh, there he is. Good morning to Snortopubis Cuber, my favorite polar bear on YouTube. Good morning, Trinoculus P. How are you doing? Good morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are having a great one. I hope you guys have been kicking ass, taking names. Archer Collin. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, they dropped that abysmal looking trailer for Lord of the Rings, and I was like, you know what? It's time. Let's talk about this. I have a very, very bad feeling about this. I mean, you can sit there and say, "Well, Loki, it hasn't even showed up yet." I understand that. I understand that. I've been looking at all the information I've been looking at the cast information. Let's go over really quick exactly how this happened. There was a lawsuit between Warner Brothers and the Tolkien estate, and eventually they kind of came to a settlement agreement back in 2017, and that is when Amazon bought the television rights for $250 million, something that has never happened like that before. It was just a completely insane buy. They paid $250 million and they didn't have anything ready. This was just for the ability to make a series. Nothing like that had ever happened. Nobody had ever spent that much money on a property just to make a TV series that they did not have anything ready to go yet. They did not have anything in production. They were not ready to go. This was just at the chance to put something on Prime. And that was back in 2017. They estimate that a 5-season production commitment would cost $1 billion. $1 billion. Arch Collins says, I saw Az's video earlier and I have a question. Were they actually supposed to be casting molten metal in a wooden mold? That appears to be what they were trying to do. Dean Krantz, I've not seen the trailer, but from watching just some guy and his take on what Amazon and the Tolkien Society have been saying, their Lord of the Rings offering will be a failure. Looks like Amazon is going to lose some serious money. CGI made the practical look fake. It was a wooden mold. It was a wooden mold. So, filming for the first season has taken place in New Zealand. Obviously, we all know the people who love Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit films know this is where they were made. They had to take a production break because of the pandemic. All of this is all public knowledge. First episode is now supposed to premiere on September 2nd, 2022. So a second season has been ordered. Future seasons will be filmed in the United Kingdom, not in New Zealand, which I think is a huge mistake. Already, I think that's a huge mistake. Project Storytime asks, why are you skeptical? It's going to be great. I can't wait to see the Dark Lord be shown to not be evil, but just misunderstood. Well, it's going to be a Isildur who's going to be evil. Just wait for that one. And his sister, who's going to be the righteous, true, chosen one. I already see that happening. Yeah, it must have been Magic Wood. Archer Collin. It must have been at Magic Wood. So the entire idea behind this is, and this is the official premise from Amazon, set thousands of years before the events of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. The series begins during a time of relative peace and covers all the major events from the Second Age of Middle-earth, the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the story of the island kingdom of Numenor, and the last alliance between elves and men. It's really, really interesting that this is what they're going to do. They're going to cover the entire Second Age. I don't think you can do that in 10 seasons. I mean, they've guaranteed 5. 5 seasons is what we're supposed to have. They've guaranteed 5 seasons. I don't think they could do that in 10. I mean, they want something Game of Thrones level. Soul Assassin, red flag when the word of intimacy couches were hired. Yes. Now, here's the deal. They've already made changes to the story. So let's get that out of the way, right out of the way. Isildur now has a sister. They are going to be laying down stories and lore that are not rooted in the foundation that Tolkien created. That's a problem, ladies and gentlemen. And I will explain why. Tolkien got every detail in place before he ever finished writing Lord of the Rings. Every detail was in place. Languages were written. He had a foundation unlike any other story ever written. This is why these books are so popular. The foundation of Lord of the Rings was cast in the same metal that made the rings. No, I have not conferred with the intimacy coordinator yet, Pat Steven Seagal, but thank you for that $2 super chat, brother. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. Skål!
A dollar? I've never seen a dollar. Nobody's got a dollar. Let us see the dollar. There it is. It's beautiful. Take your hat off, boy. That's a dollar bill.
Take your hat off, boy, for Steven. That's a dollar bill. So, Tolkien created his foundation. And then those books were released. Some people liked them. It did not. There were people that absolutely hated it. They called them children's books. Over-bloated children's books. No adult would want to read this, I believe, one of the critics said. Now, eventually, obviously, these books passed into legend. They have classes in college you can take on Tolkien's work. Obviously, Peter Jackson created some of the greatest cinematic theater of all time when he made them into movies. But the foundation has always been there. The lore has always been there. They're dedicated to writing their own lore. Well, you may have the movies, but everything is based on what we're about to write. And this is the problem when you go into things like this. This is the exact same problem that Discovery has that's eye-rolling. You think you can just rewrite history, and no one likes it. Oh, Spock had a sister. Oh, Isildur had a sister. So we're going to talk about Numenor. We're going to talk about Sauron. We're going to talk about the creation of the rings of power. Let me ask you something. How are you going to, who's going to play Celebrimbor? Who's going to play Celebrimbor? And right now, I'm sure there are people over to Amazon going, who is he talking about? Well, who's Celebrimbor? I haven't seen him in the movies. He created the rings. He created all the rings besides the one ring. You see, Sauron didn't make the three. Sauron didn't make the three for the elves. The three for the elves were untainted. That's why they were able to be hidden from Sauron's view. Oh, you didn't know that, did you? The 9 that you say was made for men, those weren't made for men. They were made for elves. The 7 for the Dwarf Lords, those weren't made for the Dwarf Lords. Those were made for the elves. All of the rings were made for the elves. All of the rings were made so that Sauron could turn the elves and dominate them and control them. But it's okay. They were made for men. They were made for the 9. They were made for the 7 Dwarf Lords in their mountain halls. I'm sure. Right? I don't know anything. What does Loki know? Loki doesn't know anything about Lord of the Rings. Yes, Sauron and Sauron used to confuse me. As a kid, imagine as a kid trying to keep that straight. I'm right there with you, DJ Ronnie G. As a kid, yeah. So the names and characters are just named. Let's get to some names and some characters real quick. So Joseph Mawley is going to play the villain. Now, Joseph Mawley was in Game of Thrones. He was Benjen Stark. He was the uncle to the Stark kids. He was Sean Bean's brother. He is going to play the big bad. He's going to play the villain. I have absolutely no problem with this. If he is playing Sauron, that's going to be absolutely awesome. I can't wait to see it. If he plays an elven Sauron that's tricking everyone and running around like a little mischief maker, I can totally get behind that. I think he'll be great. Robert Aramayo. Now, Robert is best known for playing young Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. Wait a minute. You've got Ned Stark's brother, the uncle to the Stark kids from Game of Thrones, and you've got young Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. So he is right now, Aramayo is rumored to play someone codenamed Beldor, and a lot of people think he's going to be Elrond. A lot of people think he is going to be Elrond. Archer Collins says, I'm not familiar beyond Lord of the Rings, really. So was the poem 3 for the Elven Kings deliberately misleading? No, because Celebrimbor made those rings in secret. Archer. you see, Sauron went to the greatest elven smith of all time and said, I have this magic way of making mystical rings. I would love to teach you how to do this. And he taught him how to do it. And they made the 9, which were supposed to go to elven lords. They made the 7, which were supposed to go to elven hierarchy. And they were going to make more. Now, Celebrimbor, learning how to make these rings, went off by himself and made 3 ultimate rings. 3 that were supposed to be better and badder than all the other rings they had made. You see, Sauron touched each ring that they had made. And because he touched each ring and exerted his influence over the creation of those rings, they were tainted. They were all tainted, and they were all cursed. Celebrimbor went and made 3 rings in secret on his own. Those rings were not corrupted by Sauron's touch or his influence. They were pure, and they could be hidden. They could be hidden from Sauron's gaze. He could not locate them. He did not know who was wearing them. So those 3 that were made for the elves were really made for the elves. Celebrimbor made those specifically for the leaders of each elven race. Project Storytime says, didn't Gandalf have one of the elven rings? Yes, he did. He had the elven ring of fire. That is why when he fought the Balrog in the mines, he was able to dispel the fire sword because of that ring. If Gandalf had not had Glamdring and the ring, he would have fallen to the Balrog in the mines of Moria. He would have died. But yes, Gandalf had the ring of fire. Thank you. Brightest day. Yes, Moria. So, where the 7 and the 9 were corrupted, the 3 were not. And this is what started the war. You have to understand, this is what started the Second War. Sauron was playing a chess game, and the elves had no idea what he was doing. When Sauron forged the one ring in Mordor, as soon as he put that ring on, he could feel the 3, and he knew the elves had rings that were not influenced by him. And the elves immediately knew they had been betrayed. And Sauron goes in and gets the rest of the rings. He has to go and get the rest of the rings, and he wants the 3. He wants all of the rings back. And he gets all of the rings except for the 3 that the elves have. So Sauron again turns around, cloaks himself, makes himself look angelic, like an angelic elf, and gives the 9 to men. He gives the 7 to the dwarves. And he lies to them and he deceives them, which is why he's called the deceiver. And says, these will make you more powerful than the elves. These will make you more powerful than all the races of Middle-earth. These will give you riches beyond belief. And the dwarves are not influenced by the rings. The dwarves aren't corrupted by Sauron's influence of the rings. However, each lord in their mountain hall, something absolutely horrible happens. A giant catastrophe happens to each and every single one of the dwarves that has the rings. So they're ultimately giant bad luck. They end up getting a huge influx of gold or mithril, whatever, and then something absolutely horrible happens. Gandalf had the Ring of Fire, so did Johnny Depp get it slightly wrong? Fell down, down, down with the Ring of Fire, with the Ring of Fire. I'm going to get copyright struck this morning. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's get back to casting here. Two Game of Thrones. Two Game of Thrones actors. Morfydd Clark. At least that's how her name looks to be spelled. Morfydd Clark is supposed to be playing Galadriel. She let that out. Queen of the Elves, who went on to aid the Fellowship. Morfydd Clark is supposed to be playing, and her credits include The Personal History of David Copperfield, Pride and Prejudice, and Zombies and Crawl. So Benjamin Walker is also in the series. There's absolutely nothing known about the character he's going to play, although he could kind of look like a hobbit, even though hobbits aren't supposed to exist. We've already been given the thumbs up that we're going to get hobbits in this. He was in Abraham Lincoln the Vampire Hunter, Eric Geldin and Jessica Jones season 3. So Ismael Cruz Cordova, a Puerto Rican actor who was in Miss Bala, The Catch, and The Twilight Kin in Disney plus The Mandalorian. Cordova is rumored to play a character named Kalanon, a handsome soldier and adventurer. Markella Kanaba as Tira. According to leaked audition tapes, Tira is an elven character with a caring personality who is open to all things. I'm sure that has nothing to do with how this series is going to go. So those are from audition tapes, apparently. Maxim Baldry. He was in Strike Back, Mr. Bean's Holiday, and one episode of Doctor Who. Baldry is supposed to be playing Isildur. And for those of you who don't know, Isildur is the ancestor of Aragorn. This is the guy who's going to cut the ring off Sauron's hand. Oh my God, spoilers, Loki! Spoilers! You can't tell us this before the show's even out. Isildur is the one who's supposed to cut the ring off Sauron's hand and keeps it for himself and is like, it's mine, I'm keeping it. Emma Horvath, who's in Mortuary Collection, What Lies Below, Don't Look Deeper. She's supposed to play an original character named Shay, the sister of Isildur. So you've got Isildur and then Shay, daughter of Elendil, the Númenórean king who was slain by Sauron. Oh my God, the perfect sister, the most perfect sister ever. Sure, if she had gone to the battle, she would have cut the ring off Sauron's hand, told him, a whole bunch of shit, and chastised him for being a toxic male, and then throwing the ring in the fire, thus making everything in The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings pointless, because none of it actually ever needed to happen. A couple of other people, let's see. A lot of people that are unknown, they have no idea like what they're going to be. They're not letting it out. Let's see. A couple of other Game of Thrones alumni. Everybody else, no one knows what they're going to be doing. So, no, Andy Serkis will not be coming back. Okay, so it's rumored also that there's going to be a young Aragorn at some point in this. I don't see how they're going to do that. I really don't. That makes absolutely no sense to me, considering this happens 2,000 years before Lord of the Rings, and Aragorn's not that old. So, who knows? Archer Khan would have, what's he betting she will end the show, but it will be a man's fault the ring isn't destroyed. Yes, absolutely. I completely 100% believe that. Nag to death, is this Karen an elf? No, no, nearsighted Cyclops. This is Shay, Isildur's sister that never existed before. How do I know they're not going to respect the lore? Because they're not respecting the lore now. Isildur didn't have a sister. A sister didn't exist. They are already going out of their way to ignore the foundation that Tolkien put in place, and Tolkien put that foundation in place for a very, very important reason. That built the foundation that has carried Lord of the Rings for almost 100 years. Almost 100 years. Lord of the Rings, the only book that surpasses it in pages printed is the Bible. That is the only book that surpasses Lord of the Rings printed is the Bible. Lord of the Rings has been printed more times than any other book in history besides the Bible. And you are going to tinker and fuck with the lore? And this is the problem, ladies and gentlemen. This is the issue. This is what we have to look forward to. They don't care. They don't care if they get it wrong. Do you know why? Because it's not going to matter. It's disposable entertainment. We're going to be the talk of the town while we're making this. And then we don't really care afterwards. That's what happened to The Expanse. That is what happened to The Expanse. Let us be the talk of the town, then we just don't care after that. We can throw it away. We can crash it. We can burn it. We can set it on fire and throw it in a dumpster because we don't care anymore. It's done. On to the next thing. After Christopher Tolkien passed, everything was free game from the Tolkien Society. For almost 100 years, this property has been defended and protected because you have to get it right. Do you know what Peter Jackson went through to get the rights to those movies and do those movies? Do you have any idea what he went through? Look it up. It's insane. How he had to shop it, how he had to move it around. Until finally, New Line was like, just make 3 of them. And he was like, huh? Make 3 of them. I would love to make a movie for each book. Do it. We'll figure out a way. When you can throw money at something and you don't care, guess what? You don't care. When you have to fight for it, when you have to fight tooth and nail to acquire a property and to make something of it, you've earned the right to try. You've earned the right to do it. When you just throw money at a problem and think that's going to fix it, you don't deserve anything. You haven't earned anything. You haven't fought for anything. To quote Ian Malcolm, you never bothered to think about whether you should. You were so preoccupied with if you could that you never stopped to think if you should. That is what is going to happen to Lord of the Rings. That is what's going to happen to this series. They've dedicated 5 seasons. 5 seasons. At the least, at the very least, we're going to have 5 seasons. It's going to cost $1 billion. $1 billion. 8 episodes. I read the craziest shit the other day about smaller seasons. How smaller seasons we can be more dedicated to the story. We can trim out all the fat that's in a series, and we can get right to the good things. I don't see that working. I haven't seen that work yet. I don't know what crazy shit y'all are talking about when you bring up this 8 episode season shit. It doesn't work. 12, I think, is not enough. 12 episodes is not enough for a season. I think it should be closer to 16. At the least 16 episodes to one season. Oh, but we can spend more money on each episode, Loki. If we have 8, if we cut that in half, we can spend so much more on each episode. Where is that money going? To the hallways in Star Trek? To the hallway scene of talking and emotional instability in Star Trek? Is that where it's going? It's a lot of money to have a conversation in a hallway. They spent a lot of money on The Witcher Season 2. Why am I watching Geralt have a conversation in a fucking hallway? Instead of going out there and being the most badass monster hunter I've ever seen, he's having a conversation in a hallway. So you tell me, where's this money going? Did you pay for each individual brick in Karen Morin? Is that what you did, Netflix? Did you pay for each individual brick in Karen Morin? In The Witcher? I don't see it. I don't see where you spent this enormous amount of money on each episode. I don't see it. These are not series that are complementing themselves. I'm sick and tired of this 6 to 8 episode bullshit. Get rid of it. 12 to 16 at the least. 12 to 16 at the least. Get your shit straight and learn your lore, Amazon. Seriously, if you're not going to uphold the lore that was set down by J.R.R. Tolkien, get the fuck out of Lord of the Rings. Get away from this property, walk, because all you're going to do is piss off every single fan. And you want to know what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen? You want to know what's going to happen? You remember what happened with Star Trek? Get out. You're not real fans if you don't love this. Oh my God, if you don't love the JJ movies, you're not a real Star Trek fan. Oh my God, you remember what happened with Star Wars? How the Reylos came in and were like, oh my God, it's so awesome to see Rey and Ben. Oh my God, it's so wonderful. Oh, Kylo Ren, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Oh, you're just toxic man babies. Remember that? Just fucking wait. Just wait. Just wait. This is going to be a war. What you're going to get with this series is going to be a war. Because anybody that says anything negative about it is going to get slammed. They're going to get slammed by the Tolkien Society. They're going to get slammed by the creators of this show. They're going to get slammed by Amazon. They're going to get slammed by these fucking Karen housewives that are out there watching this shit saying it's the bestest ever. The ones that have been dripping, waiting for more Game of Thrones because they still think it's the best fucking thing they've ever seen. This is what you have waiting for you. This is what they have waiting for you. This shit's just going to get worse. Purple Valkyrie, there are already weird shipper fans in Lord of the Rings. It's going to get much worse. This is going to be fan fiction, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be fan fiction level shit. Because the history's already been written. We already know the history. It was written by Tolkien. It was set down in a foundation by Tolkien. And if the Tolkien Society doesn't want to stand up and defend the property, somebody needs to. Stand with me, Valhalla. Because it's going to be a subversion of lore. And they don't care. Hollywood is under the impression that this will be good for the brand. It'll be good to have the fans fighting each other and tearing each other apart. It'll be good for the brand. Fellowship. I don't want to see this happen, but it's going to happen. I don't want to see what we have in store for ourselves from Amazon, but it's going to happen. I'm not going to give it an easy one because it's Lord of the Rings. For those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, this is the property that I love the most. Beyond Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. Beyond Star Trek, and I love Star Trek. The Lord of the Rings is where my heart is. The Lord of the Rings is where my heart is. Tolkien assured that when I was a kid. I do not want to see them ruin it by not respecting it. Oh, but look, we got the White City perfect. I don't care. Oh, but look, you get to see Numenor for the first time. I don't care. If you do not show it the love and respect it deserves, I do not want anything to do with it. It is that simple. I will burn it down to the fucking ground if you do not show it the love and respect it deserves. If you do not show the care and attention to detail that Peter Jackson did in the first 3 Lord of the Films movies, I will burn it to the fucking ground. Burn it the fuck down. And now you're not even going to be filming in New Zealand. Let me guess what you did. I'm going to take a wild guess at what you did here. You went and filmed all the outside New Zealand shots you're going to use for the next 5 years. And you're going to use those shots for the next 5 years. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to film everything in Britain. But you went and got your New Zealand shots. You got those in the bag. Now you're going to be back in Britain filming for the next 5 years. And that's what we get. We get your shots that you're going to use or you're going to flip or you're going to do whatever with. Your clip show shots of New Zealand so that it looks like you're taking the same care with everything that Peter Jackson did. That's a fucking illusion and you know it. So you're already getting screwed. You're already getting mulled over. I don't want this to be bad. I don't want Star Trek to be bad. I don't want Star Wars to be bad. You know, I get a lot of shit. Oh, hashtag blame Loki. I get a lot of shit for, well, you're negative, or you're this, or you just don't want it to succeed, or blah, 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 blah. I want all of this to work. I want all of this to be badass. I want to watch Star Wars and sit there with a smile on my face and a song in my heart. I want to watch Star Trek and be entertained again. But that's not what they're giving us. And right now, from everything I've been reading today, from yesterday, from the day before, everything I've seen so far about Lord of the Rings on Amazon, I think I'm going to be in the same boat. I don't want to be. I want to watch this and be just as entertained as I was with the original movies. I want to tell you something. Yes, perfect, Soul Assassin. Thank you. You stole the words right out of my mouth, brother. I'm not negative. I'm passionate. I will throw a Raylo. I'll throw all the Raylos in the Sarlacc. I will sacrifice the Raylos in this world to the Sarlacc to save Star Wars. Yes, absolutely. I want this to succeed because I love Lord of the Rings. It's Glomdrick the Foehammer. No! The Goblin King. That they butchered in The Hobbit, but I'm not going to get into that at the moment. Give us something wonderful, Amazon. Give us something inspiring. Give us something we can watch and go, you know what? They get it. You're about to spend $1 billion on a 5-year project. $1 billion fucking dollars on a 5-year project. Give us something good. Show us what you can do. Don't follow what the rest of these fucks have been doing. Please do not give us a repeat of The Expanse or Game of Thrones. It's popular to end a series right now in a shitty way. It's popular right now to disappoint the fan base and make them never want to watch it again. Can you believe that? Can you believe that is something popular to do? That is something popular. Is to screw over the fan base and be like, yeah, you'll never watch that again. I cannot believe that's where we're at. Don't make the same mistake, Amazon. Don't make the mistake with Lord of the Rings. Don't screw this up. From all of us that have loved Tolkien's work, do not screw this up. I will be back later tonight with the Dega Outlaw on 7 Kinds of Mischief, continuing the story of Journal of a Psychopath. One of the best stories we've ever read on 7 Kinds of Mischief. I hope to see you all there hanging out with us tonight for this special event. We're going to culminate everything in part 3, Finding Adeline, next week, but we've got part 2 tonight. Everyone out there, take care. Be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter, and keep your fingers crossed with Lord of the Rings. Keep your fingers crossed. Keep your fingers crossed with me. And if we have to stand up and fight, we're going to stand up and fight back to back in the shield wall. Because that's what we do. Take care, everybody.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.